Week 2 of Unified Premier is back once again. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed our broadcast yesterday, which was Monday. Only 8 rounds were shown, but hopefully we're going to increase that up to 24 today, try to get all of our best of ones the entire distance. My name is Chief Cass. Once again, I'll be joined by fellow. You were subbing in for my duo. I'm now subbing in for your duo. We're all over the place this week, but welcome back.
Yeah, and at least we get to go for a brand new roster for the time being. 9-3 up against Chess Club currently, and we got to see some of their players the other day, as a matter of fact. Reed Sink was subbing on in for Mystic, I believe. Or not, sorry, SH
You
Bravo.
subbed in yesterday for SHB.
Yeah, no, there are a lot of players that were formerly on Mystic or have Mystic in their name for the roster, which is why I said Mystic off the top of my head. But you know what? Mistakes. Get them out early before we go in the actual game, so that's fine. But Bills, Doc, Pat, Grack, Reed Sink, and Mr. B are on the side of Chess Club. And then for 9-3, it's Alpaca, T-Hunt, Bomber. We still get all these exciting names, Chief. We had Tortilla the other day. We had a lot of very fun names yesterday, and we're still going to carry on that tradition, I suppose. And then Zanky, I believe that is also Crooked, and then Stevie up on the roster for 9-3. So some very exciting people, to say the least.
So what we have on the side of Chess Club, we have 3 members of Old Title. That's going to be Packrat, Reed Sink, and Mr. B. Bills was the Mystic sub. Kix was a main member of Mystic, and then also Boys Love Jesus as the other sub for Chess Club. Quite a lineup, to say the least, and quite a lot of pedigree to that name. And then 9-3, Alpaca is a collegiate warrior. He is a great player. I don't know who T-Hunt Bomber 47 is, but as we saw yesterday, there's a lot of players who are deciding to just change their name either for a rebrand or just for the memes because they want us casters to say T-Hunt 47 on broadcast. So whatever it is, we do appreciate the change up in names, and it's something that, you know, is fun and refreshing because after all, sure, there's a large enough prize pool here in UPL, but some people forget, fellow, that this is a video game and we're supposed to be playing it for fun.
Oh no, take everything seriously every single time. There is no fun allowed up in here, but I hope the map selection is at least fun because I feel like that is definitely what makes certain parts of the
amateur
stream
siege
really enjoyable. But yeah, I had a hard time believing that. Yep. Cafe.
Well, Cafe is back once again. I will say it's been very refreshing having just the train of villas lately and seeing all the chaos that map has been bringing. So I guess, fellow, it's kind of back to square one, back to our roots, back to the boring maps. We do need to find a name for Cafe because, of course, Borgen has a cute name, right? Borgen, it makes sense because it's the most boring map ever conceived. Cafe, I guess I don't have enough creative wordplay or wit to be able to find something that's... But yeah, but horrible starts with a W. Cafe starts with a K. And it doesn't quite rhyme. But the other ends the alphabet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyways, I didn't hear starts with W, but Cafe, at least we know a lot about that map because it does get played, but I guess our luck has finally ran out. But Cafe, it's pretty much the same thing over and over again. It's very repetitive in terms of attacking it. You start at the very top of the roof, and then you work your way down with a roam clear, just attacking the bomb site. If you're going up against Bar and Cocktail, it's the same thing over and over and over again, and that's why I love it so much. But we're almost ready to get the matchup underway. I'm probably anticipating a really straight up just normal ban phase as well for the operators because we're going on Cafe. I mean, they're honest to God is not much to say about this map in all honesty, Chief.
To be fair, rosters like Team Mystic are starting to make this map a little bit more interesting, and why that's relevant now is Chess Club has 2 former members of Team Mystic on it. Mystic really pioneered the amateur scene of making clubhouse really CCTV room and cache more attacker-sided due to their swift style of play. Now, at Chess Club, if they're able to bring that Mystic style of play that they've been doing on Cafe, the multiple floor simultaneous executes, the multiple floor holds that they're doing with reinforcements across the entire map, that's forcing a lot of attacking teams into very unique scenarios that they just haven't been well versed in because their scrims are all so normal where they're just, pushing in, as you mentioned, from the hatches, dropping in through piano, and then just kind of, putting their feet on their desk and saying, oh, this is so boring and normal. At least teams are willing to start to make innovations on new attacks.
Already the first 3 bans, pretty normal for Cafe. Noam had a really great operator in terms of flank denial, so you're probably going to have to expect that 0 pick or maybe even a gridlock as well if that really tickles out your fancy. But Thatcher, Valkyrie, and Mira also all pretty much what you're used to at this point. If you've seen really any comp game inside of Rainbow Six, Valkyrie, incredibly versatile. Thatcher, just no one likes playing up against a Thatcher. And same thing goes for Mira. Those one-sided mirrors are really tough to counteract, so it's better just to get rid of her rather than have to actually try to put her in a good use, especially on Cafe. But all that being said, we'll get into the actual lineup so far, and the first bomb site going underway of Bar and Cocktail. And with the lineup, I'm expecting somewhat of a pixel extension. You've got that Wamai and Jaeger combination along with the Aruni Syria gates. This is probably going to give Chess Club a run for their money, but they've got plenty of utility dump in their own back pocket to try to counteract it.
I will say, with Nomad being banned, I would love to see Gridlock be brought out. Simply, I think she's an underperforming operator. At least people think she underperforms. She's a phenomenal operator that people just assume is not good. There's one particular map where she excels, even more so than Nomad. That's here on Cafe. And there's a couple reasons for her success. It's the fact that the stairwells are opened up, which will allow for sound to propagate more through the stairwells. It's very easy to shoot air jabs, even at T1. At the highest level of competitive Rainbow Six Siege, we see teams get their air jab shot far too often. There is no real way of shooting all the track stingers without making a ton of noise. Even an impact grenade going off will make more noise than shooting a single air jab. So if you have somebody lurking somewhere near the red stairs, or more importantly, going with the dual system of flank watch, because you should never just have an air jab watching your back. You should never just have a track stinger watching your back. You should always have a flank drone there as well. It should be able to grab that audio cue and start to say, hey guys, somebody is pushing in from behind. Plus you incorporate the fact she's a pocket shotgun, as well as a Gon 6 and smoke grenade. She has a lot of utility, and in theory, she can burn ADSs if she needed to, not only with her smoke grenades, not only with her Gon 6, but as well as with her exploding track stinger canisters. And if you need to expedite opening up a hatch in a fast manner and you don't want to be exposed to a windstorm-style nitro cell, you can do so with that secondary shotgun. Now, Packrat is going to be bypassing that style of play as well, since he has an MK DMR, which can now open up hatches after being buffed about a year ago. Able to spot one through the skyline. That's T-Hunt Bomber 47, and he is not going to be in a good position, now under 50 HP.
Yeah, I think a lot of people really do undervalue Gridlock just because of their primary utility compared to Nomad's air jabs. But I'm interested to see how Packrat actually utilizes Dokkaebi in this situation. I mean, he'll get those first two hatches opened up, allowing Bills to finally drop on down and try to rotate up in towards Piano. He'll do just that now, trying to clear out Pixel Room, but those logic bombs can be used really well to gather a ton of audible information. I mean, 13 gets the audio cue, but they're already where he's in towards Pixel, but Reed Sing, the aggressive take, gets rid of him. The first entry now favoring Chess Club. The logic bombs being used quite well, and that Packrat has those stun grenades. He could clear out these ADSs pretty effectively, but now I think they can, for the most part, be just shot out, as T-Hunt Bomber is still trying to lock down this Pixel area, but he's got to play really passive, as he does not want to give Chess Club another early on entry and make this a 5-on-3. And he just did it.
The Runegate's not dealt with. ADS is not dealt with. And I was about to say, how on earth is T-Hunt Bomber going to get a kill? It's going to probably be very easy for him, but he gets smoked in the process. Now 9-3, not looking so strong in this round. They're going to have to find something, some way of getting kills with their phones ringing, bomb calling them. They're going to have to spring into action. They're going to have to start to take gunfights. They're in good positions to do so. One player sitting behind barback storage. That's going to be Pull. He has the avenue of challenging into the white corridor as well as into Cigar Shop. Reedsing's going to find himself DBNO, but with all of his friends in that area, he should be rezzed back up to 20 HP.
30 seconds left here, and Plant gets attempted, but Cricket denies it on towards Mr. B. That 4-on-3 still favoring Chess Club, but they do not have the diffuser in their back pocket. Doc, a lovely nade toss-up, but Pole gets a trade on towards Packrat. He's looking for more, doesn't get it though, and Doc and Bills wrap up the round. A really successful first take coming in through by, I believe that was Chess Club. I mixed up the two names for a quick second there, but Reed Sing finding that 2K, getting rid of the pixel extension off the bat, and then just slowly creeping into the objective room. It really was just an overall fantastic take by the attacking side in their first round.
And I was concerned for Chess Club in the middle part of that round because I saw the Runegate still activated. I saw the ADS is still activated in Pixel, and my concern, fellow, was we're just going to see Chess Club start to waste a frag grenade or waste some critical utility, and it would be grabbed by those ADSs. We saw a lot of utility get grabbed by my pancakes early on, but those were just the flashbangs because they're trying to start to initiate the process of dealing with Pixel, but they never actually completed that step. And when I see a team kind of just apply the brakes midway through a round and never finish their goal, I get a little bit concerned. But 9-3 was playing very aggressive that round. Two of their players trying to take gunfights on Pixel. The first gunfight that they lost, fine and dandy. The second one, it's kind of getting a little bit predictable. You need to have some different way of taking a gunfight because, that long white corridor is a fatal funnel. It's a very dangerous position to play for both rosters. On defense, you can be sitting on the white stairs, stand up, take a quick gunfight, head glitch your way into that firefight. But if you're a defender walking through that corridor and an attacker quick swings you from Pixel, you're going to get smoked. So maybe you have T-Hunt Bobber rotate over into the Hell door on that second floor. You take that long-range gunfight over into the new drop balcony, and that way one avenue of Chess Club will be monitored at all times, and you can still situate somebody on the white stairs, so at least you're creating new avenues that the attackers of Chess Club have to deal with. We never really saw that from 9-3. It was just linear gunfight after linear gunfight, and they pretty much lost them all, except for Pole sitting behind barback storage. He was the real saving grace in that round for 9-3, but still was not quite enough to save the round.
9-3 really need to be aware of Piano being just aggressed on. They have 13 in a really awkward position currently, which could maybe guarantee him a frag just if Chess Club doesn't end up droning him out perhaps, or if Resync goes in for the barricade melee. But no, 313 going on the free fire. He hears that audio cue, but can't get the shot because it appears that the Sledge is still just not going to overextend himself just yet, eventually forcing 13 to end up falling on back. And he's gone all the distance back towards pallets now, leaving it basically up to pull in towards bathroom to slow down this pixel-sided push. So there's no deployable shield, so this really should be right for the taking. But again, you still have to worry about that Mossberg shotgun. Close quarters gunfights, that thing can just one-shot you, blow you away, and dust you off the shelf for the time being, and could really make things a winning position here for 9-3. But we're also on a bit of a flank game as well. Zanky spots out a drone and breaks it down. He could maybe get a nice C4 toss-up perhaps if he has that audio cue, but he gets droned out once more, and Doc now gets rid of T-Hunt Bomber. First entry again favoring Chess Club, as they still have a decent amount of time on the board, and they have that initiating pick. Things are looking tip-top for the attacking side once more.
We don't see any reinforcements downstairs for 9-3, but there is a roam downstairs. It's currently Zanky with the Nitrocell that he can launch over into the west side of the map by Piano and potentially get a kill. Now we have Valkyrie banned, so it's going to be kind of a Hail Mary Nitrocell just based on game sense. 13's game sense will be removed away from his body as his life force is sucked on away. More soft-cooked grenades. There was an ADS previously burned, but we see our SMG-11 Pro of Crooked able to tank that grenade as he silently rotates away from C number 1. Pull on a refrag, but it's still not exactly what the doctor ordered for 9-3 because they still have that man disadvantage. 34 seconds left in the round at 9-3. Again, they're going to have to start to make a play if they want to be victorious here in round 2 of FAR.
Just like last time, they're in that 4-on-3 position, and the execute is slowly but surely coming into full swing here by Chess Club. Mr. B trying to go for that plant and towards Trash, but he gets Toxic Waved outward, and Crooked with the Mossberg even things up now in a 3-on-3. He's still playing close, and Pole's doing the exact same thing as well. C4 gets tossed out, doesn't connect though. A plant could still possibly go down, but there's still plenty of Toxic Waves. The last one going into full effect. Crooked denies the carrier currently. 0 seconds left. It's a flurry of kills, but there's still one player left on the defensive side, just playing right in the middle of the bar area, or in the back of the shield, my mistake, and that's going to end up guaranteeing them that evened up round count. Just burning out that time really did guarantee them that victory, but it was surely by a thread for 9-3.
I was looking at that round, fella, and I was like, 9-3 has to start to make a play here because we're just going to see Chess Club start to dodge dodge smoke grenades and dodge nitrocells because they had more than 40-something seconds left in that round. And again, smoke grenades only cover for 30 seconds, 2 nitrocells, and if you're cunning enough, you could dodge a nitrocell every 3 seconds or so. So it was looking like Chess Club was in capable hands of winning that round because they got the opening duel, they got multiple kills to follow, they had the man advantage, but they just stopped their attack. They did so many things well at the first 2 minutes of that round, but when it came down to the actual execution, they kind of froze. They stopped gathering information. They didn't really calculate what utility the defenders had, and as a result, when it hit sub 30 seconds left in the round, finally Chess Club attempts to go for the plant. Since the smoke grenades can already cover 30 seconds of plant denial, that becomes a very dangerous task to plant. We saw Chess Club, particularly Mr. B, try to relocate in different positions so he wouldn't be grabbed by the smoke grenades. The only thing that did was have a nitrocell land on his noggin, not kill him, but in the process he was swung simultaneously from bar back storage, eventually dealing with him. All Chess Club needs to do when they were in the positional advantage with 50 seconds left on the clock, they immediately start to dodge those nitrocells and smoke grenades, and then they get that plant down for free. Simply put, the defense will not be able to swing from their positions. And also, if you're struggling in that scenario, why not bring a set of smoke grenades? Again, Nomad is currently banned. We can have Packrat bring out smokes on the Dokkaebi. He's been running flashbangs the entire time. This is the first round where he has access to smokes, and if he had access to smokes in the previous round, it probably would have been different because that guided munitions wouldn't have quite found its target.
Definitely not, but now they've got to go up against a brand new objective room, but they still got to clear up that top floor, even though we're all the way at the basement level and towards kitchen and cooking currently. But Pull already gets spotted out twice now, still trying to waste a fair amount of time, and 13 somehow gets a slight wall bang on the Doc. Doesn't eradicate him though, so still remain that 5-on-5 as now Doc tries getting towards a separate gun engagement. He needs to flush out this roam game currently, or else a flank could be afoot, and again, not having that Nomad, there really is no genuine denial except just winning out your gunfights, and so far, the first gunfight's going to bode well for T-Hun Bomber because now he eviscerates Packrat, and the roam can kind of just retreat. They've already wasted well over a minute now, and the fact that they're still alive, they could waste even more time on the second floor than they ever could really on towards that third floor, as Pull still getting in towards a gunfight, lights up another on towards White Stairwell. This is just perfect positioning as Zanky and Pull end up tag teaming on towards Doc. I believe it to be a 5-on-3 for once, favoring 9-3 as Chess Club really seemed flustered in this position, but finally they see some success, but it gets turned out once more, now to 3-on-2 as Zanky gets that frag on towards Bills. About a minute 10 left on the clock, and Chess Club really need to bring up their A game on this third round.
Chess Club is all dying on the third and second floor. Again, this is a first floor defense. Reed Singh's the only one left for his team, and he's cleared out that topmost floor. He's cleared out the middlemost floor. Now he has to go directly for a site, execute. He's Sledge and the Hard Breacher. The only one that was brought out was Mr. B on the Hobana. Hasn't yet opened up a single wall, so the only option that we see Reed Singh has is to take a gunfight. He won't even be able to do that. A player situated over in coat check, Mr. T-Hunt himself, on a brilliant headshot. He gets the first kill, he gets the last kill, and 9-3 starting to set a precedent as they go 2 rounds in a row.
That roam game really did put some rain on the parade of Chess Club. They thought they had that one under control, but they were just getting pushed from so many different angles, and it wasted their time and manpower overall. 5-3, and then only after that did they try to start refragging. It turned into a 3-on-3, but it got a little bit closer, and then 9-3 just wrapped it around again. They were still in the roam game, and then in the end game, it just forced Reed Singh towards that 1 versus 2 situation, and he didn't have any intel to work off of either. A much better performance so far by 9-3, as they're now going to end up going in towards Reading Room and Fireplace, where it's bound to have some sort of extension on that top floor. It's kind of a necessity when you need to stop that vertical play from coming down. It's super crucial to stop that vertical play in towards Reading Room because it just makes planting that diffuser so much easier. But the fact that 9-3 can now start going on these extensions and these really heavy roams, it's giving Chess Club a lot of troubles, more than what they would probably expect, and so far that's kind of the reason why they've been losing these rounds. It's just, simply put it, they're not doing a good job on the roam clear currently.
And the Dokkaebi is not helping to expedite the roam clear either, and it's not going to help in this round. Simply, there's going to be a mute in play. Where are the defenders going to be located in this round? The majority of them, probably 3, are going to be located towards the east side of the map, over by Cocktail, Wood, and maybe Pixel or Washroom. Why that's critical is there's going to be mute jammers in these sectors as well. They're going to be designed to stop the advancing of drones, but since you also have defenders in that area trying to hold the fort down as long as possible, when Packrat goes for his phone call, he won't gather any information because mute jammers deny access to the phone. So my concern for Chess Club is they're going to not hear a phone ring. They're going to assume it's the all clear sign since the phone isn't going off, and then get slammed from somebody sitting in a corner. It's not the first time that it's happened because the defenders were not being pressed at all, able to hang up their phones, so those audio cues are missed in previous rounds. Again, I would like to see a dedicated flank watch. It doesn't necessarily have to be that gridlock, but it's still nice to be, a zero imply or something along those lines. Just switch Packrat away from Doki, just because it hasn't really done its damage yet.
Only helped a fair amount on round number 1. I'm definitely agreeing with you, harping with it quite well. Maybe a gridlock would be a lot better too with that zero that you mentioned, but hey, an entry on none other than Packrat will do just fine for Chess Club as he gets rid of Zanky with that DMR and close quarters combat, and now he's got access to all of your intel. Luckily though, there's no Valkyrie Black Eye cameras to utilize in that position, but Crooked's going to utilize his Mossberg shotgun just well. Mystery does respond though, and oh, he gets both of them even while down but not out. You cannot stop just there by downing him. You got to confirm it all the way. That's going to give Chess Club that man advantage as Mr. B now gets fully revived and can still pack quite a punch with that Type 89 in hand. Toxic Babes come out from underneath and they don't connect just yet, only the first one, but it only flushed out Chess Club. Luckily though, Crooked still has one more in his back pocket to try and stop that plant from coming down much later on, but it's just up to him in 13 in this current position, and Chess Club, they still have plenty of time to clear off the bomb site. They've got fragmentation grenades, they've got Geminis, and they have Bills on the top of White Stairwell, forcing Crooked in a 1 versus 3 position as his intel is currently gathered up. His location is well known by the attacking squad, and he's only on a fraction of health, and that allows Bill to just sweep up the last kill to his name. Much better performance by Chess Club in all honesty, as they really got themselves picked up together on that roam clear and overall execute.
Well, we are critical of the Dokkaebi. She did get the opening kill, not from her utility, and honestly, I think you could have incorporated any operator into that scenario, and that operator would have got that opening duel anyway. It just came down to a stealthy pick. The defense was just not prepared for somebody to push in through gears, and Dokkaebi actually did cause some chaos on that bomb site. As soon as she was able to retrieve that camera, you saw the Jaeger of 13 shoot red 90. You saw the camera was lit yellow instead of being the defender blue. The reason behind that was, well, as soon as Dokkaebi hacks into that camera, she can now see the entire camera feed of the defenders. That becomes quite scary. The assets the defenders have always relied on are now being controlled by attackers, and it changes up the pace of the entire round. And speaking of pacing, Chess Club did a wonderful job in that round, always having high energy. I mean, Mr. B, it's been a very long time since I've casted him, since Title disbanded a couple months ago, and I always forget about how strong of a player Mr. B is. You just assume since he's always relegated over to supporting roles, he just can't shoot back because his only job is to drone in, but when needed, he will absolutely click heads. I mean, shown there. He barely saw 2 foreheads for a fraction of a second, and he clicked them both very easy. I mean, making it look like it was just like an everyday Tion. Great play from him and great execute all around from Chess Club. Finding themselves with 2 rounds underneath their belts, I would like them to accomplish, a flawless, not flawless half, but like a 3-3 half. That would be a good position to be in because, again, Cafe is kind of a middle map right now where 4-2 splits aren't bad on defense, but 3-3 is probably where you want to be.
I would really love to see the second half of this matchup, not only because that means we get closer to ending out the best of 1 on Cafe, but also because Mr. B then gets to defend, and he's a really good Tachanka player on this actual map. Always a big fan of seeing Tachanka, but I'll probably dive a little bit deeper into that discussion when we actually get to the second half. We still got to talk about round number 5 and 6, of course, and that means Chess Club is still on the offensive side currently, as they're starting to go for a little bit of utility clear, and not going to guarantee that entry, though, as Crooked's just watching with a devastating pixel peek with the FMG9 at hand. A very situational weapon, but in this current gun engagement, it's working out really well for him, and ReedSync is not too happy about just getting eradicated in that situation, but Luckily, Packrat does trade things out, but it's a complete trade as Crooked finds the head on towards Packrat as well. You may have gotten rid of that smoke player, but it's technically a 4-on-2 because Bills does in fact get injured. Luckily, though, I'm almost certain he can get revived here as he crawls away up and towards Red Stairwell, but so far, a really blood-ridden matchup on the side of Chess Club because they are just getting outgunned in most of these positions.
SMG11 meta, what? I've been being disproven right now by Cricket finding those 2 opening kills. And sure, he lost his utility, but he had some devastating head clicks right there. Doc's now down, a second member of Chess Club to be down but not out, so that means Mr. B is the only one who hasn't gone DBNO. But Mr. B will save his teammate in that process. Now both rosters equalize. 60 seconds left in the round with the HP advantage not looking particularly well for the members of Chess Club. 2 of them are now stuck on 20 HP, and if they find themselves in a gunfight, 1 bullet will be their undoing. A nitrous cell a couple meters away will kill them as well. Frag grenades go out from Doc, barely missing. He could tell that there's a player lurking somewhere between C1 and C2, but all those frags just land a little wide.
Down the drain, essentially. There goes your main set of util, and there goes your man advantage as well. Zanky, a great frag, and Pulse somehow gets away with that! The Mossbird working wonders against Mr. B, leaving Bills 1-on-3. Very little health and not too much time to spare either. He's got to pick up that diffuser as well, and doesn't have any time to drone to gather all this information, and the Syria gate denies him from working his way towards pallets through the white doorway. Gets rid of 1, though. Down goes Zanky, but he's got to find 2 more, and not a lot of time left either. He could try for the diffuser, but really, he's only got 2 seconds now. It'll turn 0-0 because that Syria gate denies him from the main cigar doorway. 9-3, playing passive at the end, waiting for time to tick down to strike midnight, and it does just that, guaranteeing themselves their 3rd round win, and only 1 more away before going into the second half.
I hate when players just peek Skylight. It seems to be a rank style thing or play. They're like, oh, somebody's behind a deployable shield over here. Let me just try to challenge this. And you saw the pixel angle. And the fact that Cricket was able to find 2 kills, and probably miraculously that Packrat was able to shoot back and find his 1-tap headshot was probably more miraculous in all honesty. But Chess Club, they just played that round, honestly, kind of dumb. They should not have peeked Skylight, simply put. It put them in a very dangerous position. It was a 3v4, and they had to find some way of dealing with the on-site utility, and they just simply couldn't. There was too many Rooney gates, too many ADSs, and they were just attempting to burn all that utility away, try to deal with the deployable shield and cocktail, which was never actually destroyed. They temporarily turned off some of those Syria gates, but as you mentioned, they ended up reactivating at the end of the round because the players at 9-3 situated over on the white stairs, and it just became a bloodbath for Chess Club. Their attack, once again, was a little bit slow into bar. They're solid on their initial executes, particularly back in round 1 and the first half of round 2, but the strengths that they had just haven't been shown in round 5, the final round of bar attack for them. Now downstairs to kitchen. Again, 9-3 had a very commanding round last time that we saw this. Simply put, fellow, 9-3 roamed across the entire map. The Dokkaebi calls did not do anything whatsoever, and Chess Club, their entire roster died upstairs.
Chess Club were really just, this was their weakest attack, most certainly so, and this could be a great spot for 9-3, and oh, even an entry by Tion Bomber. He's just walking around in towards the minibar, in towards Bakery, and gets a second one on him, Mr. B. They're just feeding him kills at this point, Chief. I had some hope for Chess Club, but I think there is no recovery in that position. You lost your Hard Breacher, and you lost your Iana. It's already looking to be a disastrous round. We might already go into that 4-on-2 split, and that, my friends, is one of the main reasons why you just don't initially push in towards Bakery, but luckily, Reed Sync does get a refrag, but honestly, Chief, I think the damage has already been done. There still might not be any recovery room for Chess Club.
Or, fellow, I have a genius idea. If you want to push into Bakery, you could always drone it. That's a possibility. That's an option that you have. Chess Club did not take that option, though. They just decided to push the door frame, no information. Oh, no. Reed Singh is going to replicate that mistake that his 2 other comrades did, a push up the red stairs, lacking information, and now he has joined his comrades. being confirmed dead. Phone calls go out. Chess Club can hear somebody on the other side of that quad soft wall by Gears. An incredible shot for Bills. 2 dry peak from 9-3. And just like that, Bills wins those gunfights. Packrat's going to attempt the same thing. His MKDMR sings, but it doesn't actually find the kill in the 13. It's now Bills forced to go for the 4K in this round to save the day. He does have Diffuser, and he knows 13's off-site, so it's a 1v1 on the bomb site for Bills. He can rush in, take the gunfight against Crooked, and if he wins that, he can put himself in the post-plan. He's going to luck not to go for a drone, a phase check, and a shotgun to greet him. A chaotic round, something that Chess Club almost brought back from the brink of destruction. But finally, the on-site anchors and the off-site roamers are able to stop everything that Chess Club did.
That was a dirty lineup by Crooked as well. He literally did not even see the Zofia engage him. He just took the blind fire and it just worked out for him. That was, wow, that was honestly super impressive. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm foaming at the mouth just re-looking at it in my own mind. But 4-2 split for 9-3. And I definitely feel like Chess Club could have gave them a lot more troubles than what they actually did, because they didn't drone out Bakery, like you mentioned, and they just got slapped across the face by T-Hunt Bomber. And then, although Bills did give a valiant effort, it was still a really tough situation to come back in. Now, maybe if Packrat found that frag on towards 13, that could have been a different story, as they could have both approached on towards Crooked in a 1 versus 2 and might have actually made it a much more difficult situation for him. But still, it was a rough start and pretty much a rough finish as well for Chess Club, but hopefully they have some time to redeem themselves now in the defensive half, as 4-2 split isn't horrendous, but now they really have to step up their game on this side, like I mentioned.
Cade has been a staple operator, but across these two lineups, and for good reason. Those K-Claws can be quite a pain to deal with. There's a lot of positions that you can put them that make them practically impossible. Like, you could put them on the feet of the reinforcements where the operator's foot just like holds the middle part of the reinforcement down. If you're trying to shoot it from underneath, that just won't happen. The only way would be denying it vertically with an explosive device of some kind. You can put them completely underneath on that second floor, and if the attacker's a 9-3 wants to deal with it, the only option they'll have is clearing out that second-most floor, which will absorb time, and some of that also coveted drone utility. Packrat still one of his K-Claws from his pocket, and that's most likely going to scream. It will be placed somewhere underneath, making a murder hole, and there it goes. Pull somehow finds the opening kill. A dead body now slumped in the white corridor. And was that just an awkward spawn peek from Bills, or was he just walking on by? I don't see a melee at all in that wall or that window. So I'm guessing Bills just got siege timing and got slammed at just the wrong place, wrong time.
Happens to the best of us, but 9-3 already in a good spot. Luckily, though, Packrat does get a refrag on Crooked, someone who's been doing a really good job on that defensive half, and he was running that Zofia pick, so that could have been a really good way to maybe gather some intel to concussive blasts, or just flush somebody out and put them in a really awkward spot to go in for a one-on-one gunfight. But still have a lot of work to do on the side of 9-3. You've got to go on that hard destruction game, get open red wall, and then work your way up and towards Piano, because currently Chess Club is still extended up and towards Pixel without really having anything trying to halt them from doing that whatsoever. And we're getting towards the last half of the round and towards the action phase, and that could be a little bit more of a worse position here for 9-3. Yokai gets destroyed, luckily though, by the Ying player of I believe that's 13, and they're slowly trying to clear out this area and towards Piano, but a well-placed C4 underneath by Reedsink is going to in fact injure Pole, but not having the points on, he's not well aware of that, so Pole luckily does get revived, but Reedsink's still underneath trying to possibly find some pop shots. Won't get anything just yet, but he will definitely try to frighten the side of 9-3 as they try to flush out Packrat. Oh no.
Not sure why one of those yokais was used so early on. It could have been an information gatherer to allow Packrat to do this just with more precise information. 9-3 starting to crumble. Reedsink's going to find one. It's all on 13. Forced to find 4. Make that now 3 is a good shot for him onto Donk, but his position is well known in Cigar's shop. Constantly a stream of information for Chess Club, a bulletproof camera grabbing all that information. 13 is just stuck in CS. There's no way for him to leave. He's on a complete and utter crossfire, and the only way for him to leave is if he wins his ones. Packrat somehow is spotted behind that shield, and now 13 making this round a little bit more doable. But we have to wonder, are there still more yokais lurking somewhere in this map? One of the incandelas go off. It now fully detonates. A push on forward, an attempted spray by 13. He goes the drop shot, but it doesn't actually work for him at all. A good attempt, but 9-3 will end up sacrificing that round.
A really rough push coming in through by 9-3. They started off well with a pretty well timed execute, I suppose, with an initial frag, but then when they tried actually getting control of Piano, it didn't work out. They never won their gunfight up against Pack Rat. They broke some utility here and there, but they were just getting tossed around like a beanbag pretty much. And even having that roam game underneath, it didn't do a ton to stop 9-3, but it slowed them down. And that's really all you need to do most of the time when defending, just waste a ton of time. It might be a 4-on-5 in some situations, but if there's only 30 seconds left and you've got the utility required to just stop and execute, then you're going to just see a funnel, and it's just going to be nothing but death and destruction on your opposing side. So that's for the most part what happened, but it just led to a lot more kills than normally anticipated. But Chess Club slowly working their way to try to make things an even situation. 3-4 this time instead of 2-4, so a much better spot for them. And now they get to try to give 9-3 a taste of their own medicine. Perhaps they've got a really good lineup in terms of going on a roam game for this bottom floor kitchen site. They've got the Vigil and the Mozzie as well, and plenty of anchorage stuff as well with some Malusi Banshees, some Mute Jammers as well to deny the drone game, and also some Heart Destruction possibly, and a Frost Pick, which every now and again can guarantee you a free injure if placed well, and that one right there might actually do it too. That's a really nice spot, to be honest with you, Chief.
I was thinking that too, how often I vaulted into Java for a quick plant and just never looked down there. So there's a high likelihood that a Frostmat at least is going to do something where 9-3 has to panic, whether or not it's a quick look down and shoot it. But again, if the offense is shooting the floor or shooting the Frostmat, that means they're not shooting the defense, and you could be able to capitalize on it if you're cunning and smart enough. A single reinforced wall over by Kitchen Prep, and this is going to change the lineup and how 9-3 is going to push, because they have to be careful of exposing their bodies when they actually walk in through that APC door. So far, nobody's on the prone angle for Chess Club, so it's only just going to be a quick deterrence. Full control of Baker, and it seems like 9-3, they don't want to clear out the entire map. Their goal and primary execute is going to be pushing in through Big Bakery as soon as possible. They're going to have plenty of utility to be able to do that. You have X-Cairo pellets, and you also have the Maverick to slice and dice that wall, and Pack Rat is going to get sliced early on.
And by Cole getting that entry once more, nice start for 9-3, but they've got to get that hard destruction down, and the best way to do that is probably just clearing out the roamers, but now they've kind of fully committed to a first floor take, so it's going to be very difficult to try and end up doing that. But luckily, T-Hunt Bomber's on the Maverick, so we can try to possibly find out that Mute Jammer. Hopefully he gets it, and there we have it. He spots out the Signal Disruptor, breaks it away, and now those Exyrus charges should be ready to detonate, and they'll do just that. But slowly but surely, 9-3, getting that hard destruction down. Not a lot of map control, and that could be a problem in and of itself, because now Chess Club has plenty of sightlines to stall the prep push, the main wall push coming in towards Kitchen as well. This is looking to be a really decent conversion by Chess Club, but they've got to win those gunfights through the vertical holes, and maybe a flank as well by Mr. B. Doesn't find the initial pick. That's going to be Reed Sync as he picks up 2 to his name, but Crooked eventually evens things out now into a 3-on-3, but a 3-on-2 now as Doc from a long angle behind the shield gets a headshot on towards Zanky. The push being denied quite well so far against 9-3 as they're only down to 2 players left, but Pull still plenty of fight left in him. Gets one on towards Mr. B. Things squared up now once more with just about 50 seconds. This is incredibly doable for the side of 9-3, but they've got to be wary about that nitro cell in the back pocket of Doc, and they're going to try to flush him out possibly with some lifelines across the ways, and it's not going to do it just yet. Get some soft pings out, but even if they clear out the player up in towards the actual objective room, they've got to worry about the top floor presence still, because they never cleared out that roam game, and now that there's only about 20 to 30 seconds left, they cannot do that. They don't have time to spare, and now that you're looking up above, you've got to worry about down below. Doc and Bills collectively get kills of their own. Perfect crossfires and even better communication by the defensive squad, and it's going to pay the price for 9-3 in terms of that loss.
I saw Bill sit up there for well over 2 minutes using the vertical holes from Gears and Train, and I was thinking to myself, 9-3, you know he's in this position. You really can't find a successful frag grenade, so the only option you have is opening up the windows and directly executing into that second floor. 9-3 never elected to make that decision, and as a result, Bills just sat quietly the entire round. He let his teammates play aggressive, flank in through the red side of the map, flank in through the coat side of the map, take long-range engagement behind deployable shields and through the soft walls, because he knew even if they were fell, he could still hold from a bump. He could deny the plant in just about every single possible position. He can deny any insertion from the west. 9-3 needed to make that round a little bit more dynamic. One thing that you can do if you're a fan of 9-3 is just have one of those operators. So you don't need all 5 stacked to the west. Push in through VIP, push in through code, just to apply some pressure and cut the entire defending bomb site in half. That way, the player, the Mozzie on the deployable shield, will no longer be able to sit there. That's going to be one of those cutoffs and one of those crossfires that you mentioned, fellow, now off the board, which is only going to leave Bills upstairs. Needed to do something other than push in from the 2 door frames. Technically 1 door frame and the breach of the X-Cairo pellets. We just needed some dynamic plays from 9-3. It became a linear push, and they just got slaughtered.
Talked about those linear pushes as well. The funnels almost always to actually favor the defensive side, and it did, because Chess Club just held down pretty much the same angle and just waited for 9-3 to walk into them. When that happened, they won those gunfights, and oh, that could have been big, but luckily 9-3 will end up living to tell that tale. That could have been a 2K on the side of Chess Club, and that could have almost single-handedly won them that round. But Mr. B is a little bit upset that C4 trick didn't work out, so he'll just wait for someone to push him up in towards the red scare, or red hatch, pardon, but that won't happen either as he slowly starts moving his way a floor lower, I believe it to be, and there it is, drops in towards the pillar. But so far, 9-3 getting a little bit lucky in the early engagements here, as now they're going to start actually trying to enter the building instead of just remaining on the roof now for another 2 minutes, and finally, that ends up occurring.
I have no idea how that initial nitro cell missed, fella. It was on the right trajectory, and I think it just came down to premature detonation, or the defender, or the offense was able to slide down their rappels at the nick of time. Whatever it was, it could have been an amazing kill. Sadly, will not be entering into the highlight reel. And now 9-3, they have full upstairs control. They've opened up the hatch into train room, and now more things. A Tamara Castle barricade is going to lose its life as a process, and more Flora drones walk their way on forward, dealing with the Goyo shields and forcing Goyo himself away from Cocktail Lounge. It's actually Reedsing upstairs. A haphazard swing from Pole. Pole has been hitting just about every single one of those shots, but a no information gunfight for him, and now he's the first casualty in the operator lineup. A bad play from him, and the most important operator in 9-3 offense has lost his life for a dumb gunfight.
Especially with UMP as well. 9-3, they may have that vertical control, but they don't have the man advantage, and they're just kind of sitting ducks up above, really. But Zanky finally utilizing that vertical play will get a refrag, but what a nice toss-up by Packrat. Bye-bye Crooked, as they lose their even man situation, and Chess Club back in the front seat currently. Only have to stall for about 40 more seconds, and Packrat's on a flank currently. He breaks out the flank drone and might try to rotate on around. He's up in towards Cigar, and he's getting pushed from 2 separate angles. Wins one gunfight, only needs to look for another here. He's already done so much damage from behind. 13 finally gets rid of that evading roamer of Packrat. Now just about 20 seconds left here, and Tihan Bomber and 13, a really tough predicament here. They don't have much time to spare, and they're going to try to get that diffuser down most likely, but they're still both up above. You don't have time to look through these peak holes. You've got to get into the bomb site. Tihan Bomber attempts that, but gets eradicated by Mr. B, and he follows suit with another one. Chess Club, a brilliant defensive hold, leaving the top floor just the nick of time, and even finding kills and compensation. Just what a round in that reading room defensive hold, and they're going to find so much success on that 9th round.
It ended up being the undoing of 9-3. Bad initial gunfights, and just put them away from that round. The round just slipped away as soon as Pole lost his life. Sure, you still had Sophia, who could use her flat place breaching charges to open up more surface area. The thing was, Crooked was playing that round very slow because he got ran out on early on. He was sitting at 20 HP, and he was very fearful of taking gunfights because he realized how important he was becoming the only soft breacher for his lineup. And that's why he was still lurking over by the pixel side of the map. He just could never have predicted that Sledge opening up the train hatch would have guided an ICBM nitrocell through the hatch, practically to the pixel door frame, and since we saw Zofia on 20 HP, he was kind of around the corner, but he got slammed. He would have survived if he was on anything more than 20 HP. And at that mark, 9-3 was in a very dangerous position. They ended up getting flanked. One flank trap was the only thing that they had to save them from being flanked. And this is the problem I have with one method of flank watch, because technically Zero is the same method as, well, a drone, because it requires active flank watch. That's why it's imperative to bring out a gridlock. If gridlock was in play, simply put, fellow, that flank would not have happened the way it did, because there's no way that Chess Club is going to shoot every single one of those track stingers, because that drone that 9-3 has would have heard the audio cue, and you could Mossberg shot and have the spread of the buckshot grab more track stingers, but he still would not have been able to remove them all. He would have made too much noise. It would have eventually cost him his life, or it would have been an equal 50-50 gunfight on the train. And sadly, one flank drone, and no matter what level of competitive Rainbow Six Siege you play or watch, T1 or down to, T10, it's not going to be enough.
Early kill attempted by Reedsink. He's not going to get that lucky, though. Still not a lot of luck left on his side. But, hey, still keeping something in the back minds of 9-3 currently as they start Terror journeying out that actual objective room. It's going to be a decent start so far by them as they're beginning to actually hop into the building itself. Still in that drone game with plenty of regular ones and also with arrows. And this is why Flores is just so busted. He can clear out so many different shields and pieces of equipment just by himself. He only needs himself, and now you can use those lifelines by Crooked in different areas. You can use those grenades on actual players for the most part. He's really good in the current meta, and until he gets nerfed, you're going to see him played by a lot of teams most of the time. And so far, it's really working wonders on the side of 9-3 as they've now put Bills in a really uncomfortable position as well.
I want to say how good Reedsink is playing once again. Yesterday's game on SHB, he played his hearts out as a substitute, and now on his new roster, I mean, he's showing why he's such a strong player. And what I love about Reedsink, fellas, the fact that he isn't a particularly flashy player. He's a great player, but he doesn't need to just hit clips to be good. He just is naturally good. Bill's another gifted player, able to find a kill, but his rotation into washroom was already being monitored by 9-3, so it's going to be a fast refrag for them. Both rosters now tying themselves up once again, and we're now in the 2/3 mark of this round. Zenki was DBNO. Packrat, the player we were highlighting also earlier on, is going to find one with a TCSG. Not quite buffed yet, but once it is, it's going to be a definite pick weapon.
40 seconds here. T-Hunt Bomber going in for a possible push here. It works out quite well. Picks up one. Spots out through Shaiko. Doesn't connect the shots, though, as Packrat and Doc get their kills respectively. And Reedsink wraps it up on towards Bull, bringing us in a match point. It was a great push by T-Hunt Bomber, don't get me wrong, but losing that fight up and towards the Shaiko rotate basically just ended that last page in the book for 9-3. And now they're on match point, not favoring themselves. They've got to win 2 in a row if they want to make it in towards overtime. And Chess Club is dominating them for the time being. They're doing so much better on their defensive side. It's been nothing but wins for them because it was a 4-on-2 split, and they've won 4 rounds now in a row. They are on top of the world currently up against 9-3, and they need to pick up the rack currently.
So if we look at the 9-3 roster, we currently have 13 in poll as registered substitutes for 9-3. So maybe this series is just them kind of suffering that they don't have their dedicated roster. Stevie isn't in play, and Alpaca currently isn't playing, these staple members of 9-3. Now, Chess Club, they do have their entire 5-man team. The one thing I will say, though, fellow, is it's a brand new roster. As we mentioned yesterday, SHB had Reedsink as a substitute. So this Chess Club iteration that you currently see there, air quotes, main team, was made technically less than 24 hours ago. But what asset that they have is Packrat, Reedsink, and Mr. B are all members of the infamous title roster, which was considered at the time one of the best amateur teams. You could definitely make an argument for them being top 3. You have Bills coming in from Team Mystic, who you could also make an argument was a substitute for the best amateur team currently. And then we have Doc, who is coming from Slaughterhouse Bravo, which was also a roster that was considered top 3 best amateur team. So you have all this experience, and maybe some of these players, may have not, played together all that often, but since you just have such core, mechanical skill and game sense culminating into one lethal unit, they're starting to adjust to each other's playstyle pretty well. And also, I think everybody on Chess Club are the players that just like to swing and take gunfights. Even Mr. B, who's a dedicated either primary support or secondary support, is showing that he can shoot just as well as Reed Singh, Packrat, Doc, and Bills.
Yeah, and just like that, Packrat starts off the rally here as he gets that entry. Chess Club still just really mopping the floor up against 9-3. I hate to be so brutally honest, but they're winning a lot of these initiating fights, and they are just forcing 9-3 to just play so much more passively and not do what they really envisioned for the round to kind of play out for the most part. But this time around, 9-3 going to be a little bit wiser here as they try to clear out the roam game. But Packrat, a deadly shot, a 2K to his name, and Bills wraps it up. We might have checkmate in one here, perhaps. It's just down to 2 players, and now only 1 left. Packrat looks for another, but cannot connect shots, but he leaves 13 in a 1 versus 4 situation. Now 1v3, but no health left, and not enough time to cover both his angles. It's going to be a victory for the side of Chess Club as they get mate in 1, really. I mentioned a second ago, and that's going to bring up their elo so much more in terms of that chess joke, I suppose.
I will say that series felt very dominant. It ends up going 7-4, but it was a fact that I think we saw Chess Club win 5 rounds in a row that made that series feel so dominant. Sure, 4 rounds were won on defense for 9-3. 2 were won on offense for Chess Club, but the defense that we just saw from Chess Club looked unstoppable. 9-3 was just simply unable to deal with any hold that Chess Club created. Whether or not it was dealing with the roam, whether or not it was dealing with the linear take, the offense of 9-3 was just constantly wrong in the way that they're executing. Whether or not that was the Chess Club's ability to adapt to what was going on, whether or not it was just their aggressive nature, something did not take place for 9-3. And honestly, if I were to put my finger and nail it down to one particular thing, it's the fact that 9-3 has 2 substitutes playing. And as we mentioned yesterday, playing with substitutes changes your entire mental. You can have the world's best substitute. You can have Bolo subbing. And if he does not know your defending strategies, he can shoot back all he wants. At a certain point, he can only shoot back so much. And you can't always rely on Gun Gober.
Well, with all that being said, a very one-sided defensive half favoring Chess Club, so they'll wrap up that match 7-4. But don't go away. We actually have a second game for you guys. No forfeits or any reschedules in that manner. We'll actually get to see the next 2 teams coming up. I believe it's Negative IQ versus InControl Nation. So that's going to be a really interesting best of 1, and I hope the map is even more fun because, God, Cafe is a resident sleeper. But with all that being said, we'll go into that short little break, and we will return as quickly as possible for that next best of 1.
Welcome back to Unified Premiere, and it's a clash of two juggernauts. Gunner from Negative IQ versus InControl Nation, the deputy himself, Mr. JJ. This is going to be an incredible series. It's going to be full of 12 rounds, lots of BM, and lots of great plays. My name is Chief Cass, once again being joined by Fellow and my friend. I'm so excited for this matchup.
I cannot be any more excited either. I know literally all of these players that are on both sides. They look like just complete stacked rosters. I'll name them off right now in case you aren't aware. For InControl Nation, Maxley, Salt, Indy, Na, and Blastfully. They all have Illies at the end of the name, which I think is honestly hilarious. Oh my god, I love it. It is just the best. I'll try to say the Illies at the end of the name, even though they're not technically part of their names, just to add more fuel to the fire.
No, call them Saltbad. Call them Saltbad. We had that discussion earlier on Twitter.
Oh my god, you're right. Yeah, okay.
Sorry, Salt.
I'll write it down. Yeah, good times. But Negative IQ, they've got Gunner, Og, Silent, Sweater, and Feltwinter as well. So it is, like you said, a clash between two juggernauts, essentially, because these are some of the best of best inside of T3, at least player-wise.
T3 as well as T2 experience. I mean, there's so much experience. Like, this could be an all-star lineup. Fellow, if you're to tell me, hey, we grabbed some of the best personalities, some of the best players in, semi-professional and amateur esports in Rainbow, we put them together in a 10-man lobby or on two rosters, this is what I produced, and it's Negative IQ versus InControl Nation, I'll be like, oh, absolutely. That makes a ton of sense. I totally agree with your, player choice. And like we mentioned, this is a star-studded lineup for both of these rosters. Now, will they be taking us to something that is also star-studded as we bring up our map pool? Is it going to be, more boring maps? Is it Borgen, Cafe coming through? Or is it going to be flashy like our teams?
Ooh, it's going to be Consulate. I think personally for best of one, that is definitely some kind of unique experience. You don't see it all the time, and it's honestly one of my favorite maps. It's pretty 50-50 sided, so it's not really defensive handed on one end, and on the other end, it's also not incredibly easy to attack on it. There's some really good stronghold bomb sites like Cafeteria and Garage, for example, especially when there's a mirror on the board, but there's also sites that you pretty much never pick unless you're just so confident when going up against your enemies, which is pretty much just council and projector room or meeting room, as most people call it. So this really could come down to just who the better team is overall, not just in gunfights, not just in map control, but just a mix, a coalition of everything put together. And that is honestly some of the most enjoyable stuff, not just having it as who gets more defensive rounds in their best of one, but who can genuinely play the game of Rainbow Six better.
The thing is, though, I don't think Consulate's going to be a big factor. If we were looking at, some lower level amateur players, they might not have, the strategies to be successful here on Consulate. The thing is, Fellow, we mentioned how star-studded this lineup is. These players have so much experience across the 7 map pool that they should be very well versed in the ways of Consulate. And that opening ban on a Nomad, while maybe seeming odd to a lot of the uninitiated, Nomad bans are extremely powerful here on Consulate. Why? Because it's really window repel simulator, and the best way to counter it is by vault out windows simulator. And with Nomad off the board, that's going to allow the defense to be a lot more aggressive. Let's say you're on Suicide Balcony trying to deal with the connector repel. Well, now you can window without being scared of being yeeted off that balcony. Sure, you can put track stingers from Gridlock there. Sure, you can put a Claymore. The thing with those devices are you'll hear them be placed, and particularly for the Claymore, you're going to be vulnerable in that animation because you have to expose yourself to the window, and the defense will just spray through the window.
I can definitely attest to the strength of Nomad on this map. I have seen entire teams just bring back their victory on Consulate sheerly because Nomad was banned, and they did a phenomenal job just really cheesing out that strategy and just running out as many times as possible, and no one brought Claymores or were just watching the runouts to try to counteract it. So having her banned, it'll definitely make things very interesting on this best of one in Consulate. But again, in the exact same order, we'll see all 4 of the exact same bans, the Thatcher, Valkyrie, and Mira, followed up after the Nomad ban, just as we saw on the last best of one. So honestly, not too shocking, but hey, at least we might be able to see some flashy plays in the matchup itself, not just by the operator bans.
And if you stuck only to rank and you've never played this in competitive, you're going to see probably a different bomb site rotation. Press is a great site to start off your defense because it's an intermediate site where you're always going to be able to kind of break down what the offense is going to be doing. Because since it's on the middle floor, it's going to force the attackers to clear upstairs through CEO or through admin, depending on what they want. They can also force a rush in through that southmost door into Circle Desk, and that way the defenders and the roster starting on defense first is going to be negative IQ. They can start to understand how the opponent's InControl Nation is going to be acting through the remaining 5 rounds of attack. So it's going to be a great litmus test to see what's going to transpire throughout this series. And then after that, we're either going to see Split be brought next and then followed up by the basement or whatever order the defense wants to bring out. Some rosters will sometimes elect to bring out CEO just to start to throw teams off. There's a reason why CEO isn't played much anymore. Simply put, it turns an upside-down repel simulator, and roster becomes so well-versed in that style of play that they're able to shut down those bomb sites being absolutely oppressive. Now, with Nomad ban, in theory, you could get away right now with the CEO defense because you can just fly out of every available window, and there might be nothing the offense can do, but we're going to have to see if that's the actual lineup that InControl Nation elects to do, because it's a Visa offense push. Very sensible, just clearing as much map control as possible.
Right outside the main lobby doorway as well. It's not going to really guarantee them any success. They're going to burn through 1 smoke canister, and Blastfully is now gone 6 feet under. You might not need that Habana for really any hard destruction as you are attacking this middle floor objective room, but hey, those stun grenades and maybe the Xyrus charges could have been used really well to clear out that top floor presence rather than just the actual objective room. That might force them to be in a little bit worse for wear currently. Assault tries to get a refrag on towards the player up above, but cannot connect most of his shots out here. Now it's going to come in towards a pistol gunfight. Assault is now on just a fraction of HP here, and Sweater's just waiting patiently, and he gets rewarded for it in that process. A 5-on-3 already looking phenomenal for Negative IQ Esports as they're just denying every single push coming in through, and no, he hits the metal rebar. That could have been such an easy refrag, but luckily there is still 1 refrag to be attempted as Gunner gets injured, but Max cannot get it, and he actually might get revived by Sweater. Everything is just not working out for InControl Nation currently.
Maxile pushing his way up the stairs and knocked down relatively swiftly from Og. But Indy's in the bomb site. The hatch pressure has left Projector because they're trying to res up Gunner, who has now been brought up to 20 HP. And Indy's plant cycle has been stopped dead in its tracks. There's Gunner now removed. But we need to see Nos start to apply some pressure. He needs to start to do something. His flank from the yellow stairs has been dealt with, and it's just 1 hard breacher versus 4, and Negative IQ able to swiftly remove the Thermite. A great round from Negative IQ, shutting down InControl Nation. And we talked about how this is a title fight. It was nice to see Gunner and JJ already off the rip doing battle, and JJ, the first casualty, doesn't spell well for INC.
Losing that hard breacher wasn't the end of the world. I did mention that it could have been useful because you've got to use those stun grenades perhaps to maybe clear out the Siri gate to the above or just the players in general, but we just didn't see really any good clear be attempted by InControl Nation. I mean, they tried working their way a floor higher up, but they lost the first 2 gunfights, and then they just stopped trying to gather any intel. They were just picking gunfights head on, and when you're in that power position on the side of IQ Esports, you're almost guaranteeing yourself a free win there. Indy did try to clutch it up, but did not have any backup from Nah. He got eradicated near Yellow Stairwell. It was just up to Indy, and it's really tough to win those 1v5 situations, essentially. But now we're going to be going in towards a completely different bomb site of Archives and Tellers, and we're still going to probably see that very assertive roam game. Maybe positioned somewhere else perhaps, but currently it does not appear to be that case, as we're still seeing Fellwinter and Sweater up above, just putting down their reinforcements and primary utility. Nox here to join him as well.
Well, we're talking about the debate on whether or not we're going to go to one of the bomb sites downstairs in the basement. Whether or not it's full basement or the split basement, seems to be split is the option. Now for negative IQ. What offense is InControl Nation going to bring out? What side of the map are they going to elect to push? Currently all from the west, and Gunners ready and eager to meet poor Salt. Salt whiffed his gun to find the suicide balcony, and now he's going to get slaughtered, leaving his spawn. The R4C recoil was something a little bit too awkward for him to hold in round number 1. And already Silent dropping the Salt bad beams in the get-go of this series. You don't want to be here at all, but good control and good recovery for InControl Nation as they're now in cafeteria, knocking on the threshold of the bomb sign. If they drone and push, they could stun lock and overwhelm Og. Dealing with that roly-poly drone, Og now knows his bomb site's compromised. Maxilli shoots the default camera. A ton of kills rolling on full for negative IQ. How on earth were they able to find it? It's now Indy once again against 5.
All right, Indy, you got this. I swear. You were put in a 1v5 last game and or last round, sorry, and now you're in the same spot, but haven't even found your first compensated frag just yet. That was a massacre on the side of InControl Nation. They were just brutalized by negative IQ as they were watching every direction, and now they're going to just start running into the gunfire on the side for Indy. He picks up 2 on towards Sweater and Og respectively, but a 1 versus 3, still a really tricky spot to put yourself in. Now, you've got time to go on that drone, and luckily Indy has both of them left in his back pocket, so maybe he can actually gather some really necessary information, but doesn't really know exactly where anyone is currently. He hasn't gone on that drone game yet, and he's still just kind of lurking outside, just waiting to see if someone else overextends, and maybe he can make this a 1v2 situation, which would be incredibly winnable. But unlike last round, Indy does not have that diffuser in his back pocket. He's got to go hunting for it inside of cafeteria, and this could really be where negative IQ just seals the deal, adds the final nail into the coffin, and gives themselves that second round win, because they're just waiting quite patiently. They've got the vertical angles established up above, and the roam presence, and Feltwinter on that previously mentioned roam wraps up Indy in the 1 versus 3, denying the clutch and guaranteeing themselves their second round win back to back now. They're looking spot on, Chief.
I was waiting for the BM to start. I was a little bit, well, non-existent in round number 1, which I was absolutely shook by, but now it's starting to enter into the server. Now, everybody in this lobby is more or less friends with each other. They're just trying to have that, like, 6th element of competitive play, that mental game where you just try to chalk your opponent's mental by saying things in all chat. And while it sounds absurd, it actually works out pretty well. But InControl Nation, they're making kind of silly mistakes right now, fellow. We saw Salt be the opening casualty because they just left spawn without really droning them out. No pre-placed drones to look anywhere near the CEO windows. You know, it's very common for players to pick up their drones as soon as they spawn in, but here on Consulate, sometimes it's your best interest to pick up your drones a little bit closer to the building. That way you can hear a glass window break, and you can hear if a spawn peek's about to take place, or you can physically see part of the green barricade removed. That way you can say, all right, I see them spawn peeking over to the west. Let's just avoid the west side of the map altogether. Or, hey, I can currently see him on drone. I can yellow ping. Why don't you attempt to swing this and take this gunfight? That dialogue was just never made for InControl Nation, and the dialogue continued to break down more for them when they executed into the actual basement proper of the map. They had full control of cafeteria, and then we just saw Maxilli sprint up the stairwell. No information. He made a ton of noise, and he died in the process of his sprint. We needed to see InControl Nation be maybe a little bit more slow with that push, or at least have some information on that push. Another spawn peek attempted by negative IQ fellow, but this time it doesn't actually land a lethal damage. JJ is going to drop down to 77 HP, but at least he's still alive.
Yeah, negative IQ is still up to their same old tricks, and they're still roaming all the way up above as well, which could be a major time cruncher up against InControl Nation. They've got a lot of bodies to worry about, and currently Negative IQ Esports, they're still fragging out of their minds currently, and they're wasting plenty of time. The first minute of the action phase now done and dusted, and Og dusts away Indy. He's now down for the count. Your main Harbreacher, which is one of your most important roles when attacking Cafeteria and Garage, is no longer with us. He's only in spiritual mode and is now resolved to work on his cam duties for the time being. So already a really poor start by InControl Nation. Now they basically have to try to just win by having the better fragging capabilities, and currently that has not been the case on their side. And yup, Salt Bad just not looking the right way, gets eradicated by Gunner. Luckily, Blastfully stops the bleeding for a little while, but it's a 4-on-3, and you really have nothing going for you anymore. This already might be a third round win, especially if Max does not step up huge inside of that projector area.
JJ bringing out that Jackal is actually going to apply a lot of pressure upstairs to this roam, but the Syria Gates on the defensive side is going to do exactly that, forcing the attackers to change up the avenues in which they're pushing on forward. Seems like Negative IQ has been found ratting upstairs somewhere on the admin paper side of the map. Plenty of yellow pings to spot it out, and Jackal pings as well. That's two members of Negative IQ stuck in one position. Gunner is pinned down, able to find a kill miraculously on the JJ, but at least he eventually gets refragged and shut down that process. The fact that he won that kill is just incredible, to say the least. And now it's non-Maxilli, the only two players left for InControl Nation. Maxilli is still preoccupied upstairs, trying to deal with Sweater. The bomb site's downstairs in the basement. Sweater is just wasting time here. He's able to get the down, and now it's Na's turn to deal with the off-site pressure. You're not even pushing the bomb site.
God!
You're pushing into admin. How is everybody dead from InControl Nation? You're nowhere near the bomb site. You're on the other side of the map.
Oh my god, Sweater literally didn't move for a good half a minute. I was timing it mentally. He's like, yeah guys, I'm just gonna play time. And then they just kept running into him. That's not the proper play, and they got punished for it. Oh my god. Negative IQ, 3-0 now. That hurt to watch, Chief. I'm thinking in my head, why are you pushing him? He's going to win that, or he's going to waste all your time. You have to go and just get control of the objective room, and they were so focused on one thing. They were tunnel visioned on securing that kill on a Sweater on the roam game. It costed them their third round, and now they're at a 3-round deficit. Things are they're taking a turn for the worst, in all honesty, and I really have not seen that many mistakes, if any, on the side of Negative IQ Esports. They are just looking top-notch currently.
I will say the logo for Negative IQ looks like they're crying because it's just normal IQ logo flipped upside down, but I don't think Negative IQ is crying at all during this series. I mean, what they're doing to InControl Nation is just honestly incredibly rude. I mean, so many former teammates in this lobby across tons of different rosters, and again, we're highlighting the dynamic between Gunner and JJ, or Blastful as he's also known by. It's just something that I never saw to be this lopsided. The way I saw this series coming, fellow, is it would be round for round all the way up to round 12, and then we enter into overtime, and it's anybody's guess who's going to win. Now, fellow, there could be another alternative hypotenuse. Oh, words are difficult, my friend. There could be another way of looking at this. We could say, hey, you know what? Maybe we're going to see 6 rounds in a row on defense, followed up by 6 rounds in a row on defense for both our rosters. That would be quite an incredible series to have fun. Things are going to be changing up once again for InControl Nation. They realized that their direct push, almost a rush in through the south main door, was not good enough for them. So now they're going to decide to push in through the basement, grab real estate in a different way. And that does make sense. If we look at how Negative IQ has been holding this map, it's going to be holding the bomb sites upstairs in through CEO and Projector. And now it's a new avenue for InControl Nation, and it might force a change-up in the defense of Negative IQ.
Still got to worry about that roam game, though, because Sweater's on the very bottom floor, but InControl Nation just working a little bit away from it, perhaps. He hasn't spotted anybody out just yet, and it's not going to be that player of Sweater to find that initial pick. It'll be Silent, then followed by Sweater, as he wraps up a clean kill on Na. Max, though, on the window rappel, gets rid of the player inside of Bathroom, which currently was Felt Winter, so at least you have some type of reward for your troubles, but the rest of your players are slowly dying off in the battlefield, and that's nothing you ever want to have on your side. You're still at that man deficit, and Max just praying to some higher being that he can find another kill on this window bay. And ooh, he just spots out the foot of Gunner, but only tags him up only slightly, so it's still going to remain that 4-on-3 favoring negative IQ. Sweater, a little too aggressive, goes on the run out, but it works out pretty well nonetheless because Og is there with the tag team. A pretty good play, I suppose, but you still lose a player at the end of the day, but at least you still have that man advantage garnished in your back pocket.
I would love to hear comms for that round for negative IQ. Hey, there's somebody on the Zulu bench rappel. Do you guys just want to run out on him? One of you runs through Zulu itself, and the other one can vault out through upstairs wash. That way we can take these gunfights, and assuming that there's no Claymore in play, we should get the kill for free. There was a Claymore, and actually it was shot away by Og. He was able to do double duty there. JJ, a nice flick. An incredible shot to Og. Now he's completely silenced, and the first time of this series, fellow, we're actually have InControl Nation in a winnable position. Spoken too soon, Caster cursed and jinxed. It's now on JJ, forced to find two. A flashbang jump into big bathroom, but a relocation for negative IQ. A great play by them. Time's being wasted. You don't have diffuser. Look in the right direction. Look in the right corner. JJ will be unable to do so, and finished off the BM from Silent continues to reign. It's now 4 in a row for negative IQ on their defense. It's just one round after another. Nothing can stop them.
Just playing with his food at that point. Negative IQ Esports just ruling over InControl Nation currently. My God, I am very worried about InControl Nation because on that round they actually had a fighting chance, and then Indy just ran into sight and just got fried, to put it bluntly. That was not the position you wanted to put yourself into afterwards. Negative IQ Esports just marketing off of every single attempted execute by InControl Nation, and they're going to be going back to Archives and Tellers, which was a complete massacre near that back Visa stairwell, or lower Visa stairwell, I should say, and hopefully that does not happen again, but I really have a strange suspicion that it's just going to come down to these 50-50 gunfights, and so far it's just been nothing but blue across the board when it has come down to those key gunfights, Chief.
I've never seen InControl Nation look this distraught in the server before. Again, if you told me that this series would be 4-0 in favor of one of these rosters, I'd say, you're lying to me, fellas. It's just not possible. And InControl Nation is just losing gunfights, which is weird to say. You have Max Silly, you have Indy, you have Salt, you have Na and JJ. None of those players lose gunfights. They make players look silly in most of the gunfights. But right now, negative IQ, the way that they're playing this hyper level of aggression is just something that InControl Nation just can't address. Every single twist and turn, every single ounce of map control InControl Nation attempts to acquire, there's somebody from negative IQ standing in their ground and ready to take a firefight. I mean, look at Gunner. He's playing the yellow stairs. He's waiting for it to get melee, and then he's going to shoot who was ever on the other side of that wall. It's currently Max Silly, who's now rappelling up. If Gunner runs out, he makes a lot of noise, but there's a Claymore blocking him. Could have been a lethal run, but fortunately, he's going to think better about that. Max Silly now gets off rappel, and Gunner's going to hightail it out there.
Very concerned about Gunner there, but he was also a little bit aware of the possibility of there being a Claymore, but not aware of Salt, who's up above and towards Council. He gets rid of Gunner quite effectively, unlike that Claymore, but the Alda is just whirling in the background. He's on only a bit of HP, though, and that allows Salt with a nice long angle to wrap him up. Now a 2K for Salt, so he's having a really big impact on this roam crew currently. There's still one more up above, but oh my God! Salt gets 3 to his name! There goes all of your roamers, and for once, InControl Nation have a great chance at winning this one out. There's still one roamer up above, though, and Salt tries to flush him out, now on just about 10 health, but he's got backup from Indy and also Max, respectively, but Og is also on the flank, and Feltwinter wasting plenty of time in the back area of break room. He gets spotted out, but again, he could just try to stall for time. That allows Og to find a nice frag on towards Salt, but he's looking for another, and he gets it! Og, you're insane! That brings things now into a 2 versus 2. The tables have finally turned, and negative IQ Esports have an equal chance at winning this one out once more as well, and they don't even have carrier in towards the bomb site. Luckily, though, JJ is in fact there. They try to just stall until Indy gets his butt in towards the objective room, but that's going to take a decent amount of time. This could allow for something massive to happen, and JJ's just worked away from the objective room. He's expecting some kind of flank, but Negative IQ Esports, they're both just protecting both bomb sites equally here. That's a big misunderstanding here on the play currently, as he's looking for these non-existent roamers right now, wasting far too much time, and Indy now has no cover. He has to wait to try to get that plant down. We're bringing us down towards 30 possible seconds. JJ now lit up on a sliver of HP. Things could take a turn for the worse possibly, as now they're attempting to go the floor lower here as the hatch gets opened on up. Indy hot drops, possible rotation coming in through by the Vigil player of Feltwinter, but August still underneath, gets a third, but now brings it in towards a 1v1 as the Skeleton Key wraps up the down player of Aug. But JJ, not much health nor time. It's going to be a tricky situation here, and he'll attempt the plant going on down, and Feltwinter just walking his way closer towards him. He gets off the diffuser, but Feltwinter doesn't miss his shots in the 1v1. Oh my god, Negative IQ, the comeback from a 2 versus 4. You have got to be kidding me, InControl Nation.
InControl Nation had the best round of this series. Salt went nuclear. He found his 3 kills. He got off the R4C. He gets on the G36C, and he takes his 1. There's a reason why he is electing to be the primary entry for InControl Nation. When he's clicking heads, he really does that well. However, we saw this in our first series of the day, fella, and we saw this yesterday, Monday, where teams just honestly brutally suck with flank watch. Whatever they have on flank watch just is not stopping players from walking up a stairwell and shooting the attackers in the back. Simply put, teams need to start to address that issue because they're sacrificing rounds in a silly manner. It takes place for InControl Nation. On the back of Salt, I was like, this is a possible round for InControl Nation to win. They worked so hard to achieve it. But how does an SMG-11 bro come in from behind and save the entire day? That 2v2 that we saw there, 2 incredibly strong players on both rosters fighting the absolute death, playing a game of Tango, dancing around the entire map. And you're talking about why on earth did Buck JJ rotate upstairs, because he assumed that Negative IQ would be playing hyper-aggressive, because everything they've done, fellow, is hyper-aggressive. And we saw how calculating Negative IQ could be. Sweater just bullies another player of InControl Nation. I don't even want to talk about it because it's cyberbullying at this point. He's just too disgusting. Like, I want to go back to round 5 because I loved what, Negative IQ did, because they played passively. They didn't play aggressively in the dying seconds that round. They changed things up, and InControl Nation fellow might be changing things up again as they open up the wall in a fast manner, almost like a thermite exothermic charge rush, but doesn't quite take place.
A big sigh. I just ended up bursting aloud as InControl Nation again lose the initial entry. I think only once did they get some valuable entries, and that was last round where Salt was just, he had enough of it. He wanted to step up, and he did, but it just was not enough in that situation. And now InControl Nation, they may have triple wall opened up, but they haven't cleared out the roamers yet, so maybe we could see Negative IQ utilize some possible vertical holes up above. Fragmentation grenade comes flying on out, and what are you looking at, Max? Aug is right in front of you, and you don't hit a single bullet. A 5-on-3 now, and a 5-on-2. It's just more bloodshed as Gunner's thirsty for kills, and he picks up 1 on an Indy. A 5-on-2 now, and I feel like I sound like a broken record at this point, Chief, but this is just another ripe round for the taking on the side of Negative IQ.
Not looking good for InControl Nation. They're far from being in control of this series. JJ just flies down the stairwell, gets smoked in the process, just holding shift for as long as possible, and that's Nah currently sitting on a donut. If he aces this round, he'll be even in the end. A clutch ace is the only option that InControl Nation has at finding a round 1 on their attacking stint. 60 seconds left. It's not impossible for Nah. He's a great player, but he won't be able to really even enter into the building. Finished off from above, the CEO spawn peak. How many kills have we seen from these windows, fellow? At least 5 or 6. I mean, InControl Nation just struggled at touching the building. It's like we're playing Bartlett University.
Good one. as Gunnar put it bluntly, that was Nas' time to eat up and get his frags, but sadly that did not happen. Didn't happen for anybody on the side of InControl Nation, and now they are 0-6 up against Negative IQ Esports, who have been able to do anything and get away with it and just play the better matchup on Siege. They are fantastic at retreating from the roam, at doing the roam game in general, initiating with entries. It just, everything that they're doing has been spot on currently up against InControl Nation. But maybe you are right. Maybe we will see a 6-6 tie way here if InControl Nation wins 6 rounds in a row. But that is a very daunting task, and I could almost guarantee that their mental game is not what it needs to be to actually win 6 rounds consecutively in a row, especially against Negative IQ Esports, who again has just been doing everything pitch perfectly.
What's the likelihood that we see a breach rush take place right now, fellow? Like, I would say
high.
Pretty high. Yep. I'm on the high boat as well. That we have to see that take place, because look at the setup that InControl Nation has. They have an expansion to the middle floor as well as the top floor, opening up plenty of the second floor hatches, giving them the flexibility to challenge those angles as well as rotate as soon as they hear the bomb site being exposed. And really, Negative IQ, they don't need to take a lot of map control if they're going to elect to go for a breach rush. All you do is upside down rappel on one of the south windows. You send one of your explosive devices down range, and then just like that, you're going to get that control. Now, Negative IQ is going to elect to go for more of a traditional push. They're going to start to just challenge all of those hatches, and challenge they do. Salt, the first casualty.
And Og, already inside a piano, might turn into a 5-on-3 quicker than anticipated, and Og is going to play this one quite smart. They're going the Gemini drone, the Mute Jammer trying to stop him, but a well-placed C4 will in fact stop him from no longer being alive. A well-needed kill indeed, might I add, but now Feltwinter does have a possible kill holder look through perhaps as well, but you still haven't cleared out that Mute player up in towards bathroom, so that's going to be a really big task to try to overcome here on the side of Negative IQ, but slowly and surely they'll try to attempt it most likely. They maybe go for some vertical play, and I'm not 100% sure if we actually have seen the Mute leave just yet. I don't think we have. I see his outline, but just barely, and barely that nade will actually get catched by the ADS there. So still, Blastfully just waiting quite patiently. He knows he does not have to push up entirely just yet, but across the board, Sweater picks up a well-needed kill on towards Gnaw instead, anticipating that possible push from Small Spiral, and now they can focus all of their attention on towards JJ, who really doesn't have that much going for him currently. He's kind of just playing here to die, and if he dies in just about these next 10 seconds, it'll be a 4-on-2 with about a minute left on the board, and that really is an unwinnable position when you just only can rely on your gunfights here. This will be a great opportunity for JJ just to hot drop the hatch and escape while he still has a chance to have a big part to play in this round, but he'll still hold his ground currently and just wait for good old-fashioned fate to decide what his next move will be.
I saw that pocket thermite charge in Gunner's back pocket. You could have opened up one of those walls, but there's full coverage of Mute Jammers in the big bathroom, so that's no longer an option. JJ sees the writing on the wall. He realizes he's a dead man walking. He elects to go for the swing. He'll be able to make that gunfight look easy. And in that process, it's InControl Nation completely the dominant roster in this round. It's all on Sweater, the former Challenge League player against two, taking gunfights from so many different angles. He has a diffuser. He's able to down Indy. It's now a 1v1. This is very winnable for him, and it's JJ dropping that hatch. It's going to be an SMG-11 able to shred Sweater if he shows his body that much, or that Mossberg shotgun at range. You have 8 seconds left. Sweater needs to take this gunfight. He doesn't know where JJ is looking. He needs to start to push on forward. He's looking in every possible direction, unable to find him, and now he's going to start with the diffuser, the 7-second plant timer. JJ should spot him. He doesn't know where it is, and finally we'll be able to isolate Sweater behind the bomb chassis. A free defuse for JJ, and InControl Nation will survive another round.
InControl Nation finally getting a round win on the board, and it was way too close for comfort, to be brutally honest. But a great round indeed, because he still had that Mute up above. I thought it would be a misplay by JJ, but no, he made it into a 2-on-2 eventually for his team. And then when it turned to 1-on-1, he was still up above and just he bled out the seconds, and that's exactly what guaranteed him that last frag on towards Sweater, who was literally on about 5 or 10 HP, give or take. So a well-needed round indeed, but again, it's still a gigantic hill to try to overcome and try to climb to the very tippy top of Mount Everest here, because you got to win 5 more rounds in a row, and that's only going to get you to overtime. That does not guarantee your safety for a full-fledged victory. Negative IQ Esports could just pull out something once again and just decimate you 8-6 or 8-7 fashion, and it was basically all for nothing to try to get to that overtime position.
My heart was racing during that series between Sweater. It was so doable for him. It would have been one of the greatest clutches that we've seen in a very long time. Again, I just assumed Sweater was going to get fried off the rip, but the fact that he found Orna, who's just on the struggle bus this series, sitting at a donut, 7 of them, just is not a comfortable place to be. And I do sincerely hate the new UI changes that we can't see 007. But, I mean, even if we did, he does have 2 assists. So we can't make the 007 meme anyways, but... Oh, no.
Unlucky.
You're a better singer than I am. I can't sing for my life. I'd just make people's ears bleed if I attempted to sing. And, InControl Nation, they sung in 1 round. Nobody's ears bled other than Negative IQ. But is that going to be enough? 1 round win, still 5 to deliver us into overtime. That's quite a long path. We're going to be going over to split, and it seems like Negative IQ is going to put a lot of emphasis into clearing into admin office. They're going to try to grab that control so they have the vertical pressure. Different uses of the Argus launcher. 0 cameras, able to gather some information on the pressure that could be an admin, and the Mozzie Pest will deny the traditional drone.
So far, so good for Negative IQ. That C4, though, rips out and does a chunk of damage away from Feltwinter's overall health, but still alive, so maybe he can throw those frag grenades out, have the ADSs get burned, and then flush out the player up above, and oh no, there's a taste of your own medicine, and he gets 2 on a max! No way you hit that shot, Feltwinter. A 5-on-3 instantaneously, as Negative IQ just lands some well-placed grenade tosses and shots overall. They basically have control of the very top floor, but they've got to go a floor or 2 lower perhaps to try to get that plant down, and this could be where InControl Nation keep their cool and remain in control for the time being. They still have those 2 nitro cells and a presence on the first floor. They just have to be wary, though, of any possible vertical play that could approach from them up above.
Salt just hits a shot of his career, somehow removing Gunner. I mean, Salt should have never hit that shot, but again, we talked about how strong of a player he is, but now it's going to all be on Indy. Forced to find 4, downstairs currently in the basement, and his only option is to walk up the green door, frag grenade soft-cooked into his face. More of them are landing at his feet, forced to run away. That's going to allow Silent to initiate the plan. Feltwinter from behind is going to conclude this series. Negative IQ, a 7-1 win. Fellow, we said this series would be a title fight. We had said it would be 2 juggernauts crashing against each other. We said this would be a 12-round series. We brutally undersold this series. It only goes to 8.
And barely at 8, a 1v1 as well. That was, oh my god, that was rough for InControl Nation. They were not in control, and Negative IQ just, they didn't really care. They just ran around and they just found their kills, and it just came down to that. They were just out fragging their opponents really well, and it gave them a lot of control of the game, not just map control in general. That was wow, I had some really high hopes for InControl Nation, especially watching them during SFCL Open Quals, just mopping the floor against most. We didn't see that today with Negative IQ, and in all honesty, I hope that they try to go for the Open Qualifiers perhaps for SFCL, because I feel like they do quite well, to be honest.
I believe Negative IQ is an all 18+ roster, or at least going to be eligible for CL quals. I think that's what they're going for in the future. Because again, you have Sweater, who's a former CL player, and it was just a bunch of high-level T3 players, I think, just showing dominance in the server, right? Saying, hey, we have the capability of entering into Challenger League, if the stars align for us. And, InControl Nation, they are not a bad team. And sure,
No.
A 7-1 loss makes them look like they're not particularly competent. I can promise you InControl Nation is still a top team. They either had a bad day or they just found a juggernaut that they just couldn't topple over today. And they're going to be somebody that we still watch. You mentioned how strong InControl Nation has been in qualifiers, and I can promise you for the rest of UPL, InControl Nation is a team that we're going to see accomplish greatness. But for today, the cake and all of it goes to negative IQ. Call them 2000 IQ because they definitely put that forward.
Big brain plays indeed. But with all that being said, that wraps up the evening in terms of Rainbow Six Siege. There's still plenty of action left in UPL altogether, though. So if you're interested in watching some other games, perhaps, then by all means, stick around. But that's it for myself and also Chief. You're up on the casting booth. It was a pleasure to be working with you again now twice in a row, as both of our normal duos are just MIA for the time being. But hey, hopefully that changes. And again, we hope to see you all very, very soon the next time we get to cast some Rainbow Six.